This episode of the Stockbury Dark is brought to you by Shop Shogun. Shop Shogun is your one-stop shop for the latest and greatest in punk, hardcore, and heavy metal merchandise. Officially licensed web stores from bands such as 100 Demons, Integrity, Disembodied, Madball, Agnostic Front, and many more. The Stockbury Dark, along with Shop Shogun, are offering a special code to discount your next order when you use it on their website. Use the promo code SDPODCAST to save 10% from your next order from Shop Shogun. Again, the code is SDPODCAST. Their website is shopshogun.com. Also, check out their page, Shop Shogun, on Facebook and at Shop Shogun Merch on Instagram.
This is Klaus from the Stockbury Dark. I would like to take the opportunity to thank all of you who's listening, and also thank all of you who's sharing and rating the Stockbury Dark. We touch on subjects that can be hard to express. Sometimes we touch on experiences that are painful to talk about. Hauntings, the occult, the paranormal, and darkness in different shapes. Me and Pete would therefore like to thank all our guests, friends, past and present, for being a part of this. We didn't know what to expect, but the response has been nothing short of fantastic. In all this darkness, you make us glow. Thank you. You can find us at thestockburydark.com, on Podcaster, and on iTunes. For interaction, visit the official Stockbury Dark on Instagram and the Stockbury Dark on Facebook. If you want to get in touch with us, you will reach us at thestockburydark@gmail.com. Please continue to rate us and share our episodes. What we do is for you. Welcome to the Stockbury Dark.
Hello and welcome to the Stockbury Dark. My name is Peter Morrissey.
I'm Klaus out in Stockholm, Sweden.
And for episode 13 this week, we have a very special guest. His name is Sab Grey from the band Iron Cross. Hey Sab, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Very happy to have you on.
Yeah, definitely.
Happy to be here.
We spoke, a few minutes prior to starting recording, and I was relaying a message to you that someone had told me when we first started this podcast to get in touch with you, that you might have had some cool supernatural stories to share, and you were the guy to hit up. And as we moved along, we did the first 12 episodes, and I was like, I gotta message Sab and see what he says, and you hit us right back, and that's really cool of you. Thank you. We just can't figure out who told me to get in touch with you, but whoever did, hopefully they're listening and they'll let me know.
It's weird because it is, it's a subject I'm interested in, and I've had weird experiences, but it's not something I sort of broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's sort of like, okay, that was weird, or I need to leave this house right now.
Mm-hmm. So where are you in Maryland now?
Yeah, no, I live in Baltimore. I've lived here for about 20 years since I moved back from London.
Musically active at all recently?
No, I'm doing a podcast of my own. I do one called Dork Time Radio, and we do history, science, art type of stuff with punk rock and music.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
I listened to about maybe 8 or 9 months ago. I listened to one episode, and it was. Not that I did enjoy it, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was about right now. And I think you had you had a speaker on, but he was from maybe South America.
Or Barcelona or Spain?
Oh yes, it was Spanish. That's what it was.
Okay, yeah, that was the one that was about. They actually found this in England a few months later, that they found DNA. They found a couple of corpses, skeletons in a cave, and they were two brothers. They were 8,000 years old, and they ran the DNA in their and they had black skin but blue eyes. And the closest people that they're related to are Germans and Scandinavians.
Very cool. Yeah, that's exactly the episode I was thinking of.
Yeah, it was. So that's the type of thing we do. It's like I was interviewing Ian Mackay, and I was sort of telling him what the show was. Well, we do history, and then we do music, and he's like, so it's you, isn't it?
Just all the great things you enjoy.
Down the list of episodes, it's like it's just me. It's just the stuff you know what I mean. Stuff. But we're having good fun with it.
How's the reception been for the podcast?
Really good. I mean, I know you feel the same. You start doing something completely different than anything you've done before. You know what I mean? And you have no idea exactly what you're doing, and you just go and do it, and then all of a sudden it's like people like it, and you're like, oh, okay.
I know it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but
outside of like the music that I've done, I've never really done putting myself out there in class the same, doing something like this, and we weren't sure exactly what we were doing when we started or how we were going to do it. But as it progressed, after a few episodes, we kind of got our thing going, and next thing you know, like we released our first 8 episodes all at once, and within the next week we had like monster feedback, just from people kind of from the underground scene, like hitting us up and like, this is my favorite podcast ever. I love the topics, I love the guests, I love your voices are great for it. Everything was like, I was like, wow, we're really actually doing something, and people enjoy it. It's a really cool feeling.
Exactly. And the difference with, and when you know what it's like when you write a song, and then you show it to the band, and they either like it or they don't. So there's an immediate result. Then you rehearse the song, and then you play it out live, and again, there's either a result or there isn't. It's immediate. Whereas this is like you're in a little room. It was the same when I was writing my books. It was like you're in this little room by yourself. You know what I mean? And making this thing, and you have no idea. Yeah. Because there's no audience. Immediate audience, you know what I mean? You're not in a club looking at you, or not looking at you and going to sleep or something.
What's been interesting for us is, like, aside from the subject, the making of this thing and the format, every step of the way has been a new step. Like from recording to setting up to editing, every step has been new and something that neither one of us has ever done before.
Yeah,
so it's been it's a long learning curve, but it gives so much back, and it's very interesting. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm loving it. So I'm we got a great episode coming up on Saturday too. We got
nice.
There was a history professor at Yale, and I interviewed him about this book he wrote about the anarchist bank robbers at the turn of the 1911, 1912 in Paris, and they were the first guys to just like steal cars as getaway vehicles, and it was this whole huge thing that happened in France at that time, and so that'll be Saturday's shows. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's very cool. I mean, you pick up obscure topics, in the history. Are they things that like you would just read about, and then you were like pick and choose what you think would be the most interesting thing to cover?
Yeah, just whatever crosses, and it's like, wow, that's cool. They're little, because history's full of moments. There's big things.
Oh yeah, all the time.
It's like little things shape the big things, and it's just cool.
All right, so I guess we can kind of start getting into maybe some stories. I know you said you had maybe 4 or 5 different occurrences that happened to you over the course of however many years, and whatever you want to get into first, we can kind of just jump right in if that's what you want to do.
Okay. Well, the first one, I mean, like I said, in our preamble, I did have some experiences as a child,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not real clear about them. I remember, because I can remember I was with my family. I would have been about 6 or 7, and we were staying somewhere, and then we were all frightened, and weird things were going on. You know what I mean? And we all spoke about this as a family. That. So, but I don't. It's not clear. Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you something that happened as an adult, because I think I would have been about 5 or 6 when this happened. You know
Okay.
what I mean? But the other ones are when I was an adult. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like after I moved out of Discord House, which was the end of '83, I moved into this house. This was a house in Washington down on 17th and T.
83. That means Iron Cross had ended at this point.
No, we broke up in '85.
Oh yeah.
So this is we were still active. And so I moved into this house, and I moved in, and I got there was this big basement, and it was a big row house,
Mm-hmm.
like a brownstone, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I got the basement, which was really cool, except it was creepy. And I just got this weird feeling. You used to you went down the stairs and you turned into this room that you walked through, and then you walked through this door, and that was my room. And in that first room, I would always walk through like really quickly. And the first thing I did was put a light on there, and I never turned that light off. That light stayed on. It was just, and I would sort of like race through that room. You know what I mean? Like just without unconsciously.
Right.
And I didn't know everybody in the house. You know what I mean? I was on I knew a couple of people in the house, and then a couple of people I was like, hi, I'm the new guy. So there wasn't a lot of, immediate communication until later, you know what I mean? And then I was like, I am creeped out down there. And they were like, you too? And everybody in the house had weird feelings about things that were going on. And then, people saying there was like, a child, people saying, an older woman, and,
Mm-hmm.
the couple, house full of musicians, there was a piano, and someone said, I can only play sad songs on this piano. As soon as I sit down at this piano, I just get depressed and just play sad things. And so there was this weird feeling. And I always slept with a light on in my room. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because there was just a weird feeling. And then,
Right.
And one day, one night, I was asleep, and I woke up, and I swear to God, and I'm not making this up, but there was something sitting on my lampshade looking at me, and it looked like Gollum, and this was like long before the movies, you know what I mean? And I had read the books, obviously, but it looked like that. He was sitting on my lampshade, and it jumped off, and it ran across the room, and the light didn't go all the way to the end of the wall. You know what I mean? It was a dark and gloomy type of place, and it ran off into the dark, and I was just shitting myself.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? And I swear I saw it. I know I saw it. To this day, I can still see it. It was scary as shit. And I wasn't drunk. I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I was just like napping. I woke up immediately, like sharply, like wake up. You know what I mean? And
Like,
there's
yeah,
the motherfucker.
like your body sensed fear
Yeah.
or
And
danger.
I looked, and the bed was level with the bedside table.
Mm-hmm.
So the lamp was above me. So I'm looking up, from the bed, and I saw it, and it was sitting there looking at, this is like perched.
Were the lights on at that time?
The light was on. Like I said, yeah, the light was on, but and it jumped off and ran, and I was just like, holy fucking Christ. So yeah, that was
And it
that.
was like a smallish. What size would that be? You think?
It would have been a foot or two.
Yeah.
I mean,
almost like a tiny gargoyle sitting on your.
Yes, exactly. I'm scared the shit out of. I'm not making it up.
No, I believe you. Listen, we've had the most sane and level-headed people on our show, and some that are skeptics, some that aren't, and some of the most serious-minded people saying the same exact thing. Not the same sighting as you or anything like that, but they don't want. A lot of times it's the same thing where people do. This is the first time I'm saying this publicly, or I never wanted to bring this up, and they would start opening up and talking, and everyone has been in that situation where they're like swearing that this is what they've seen.
Yeah. It was really weird because we had that first conversation in the house about like the weird feeling because, I'm not a Christian. I wasn't raised a Christian, you know what I mean? But I was like, I need to get a priest to bless this house. You know what I mean? And then, you know what I mean? And then that's what I, mentioned. I was like, does anybody else feel weird in this house? And everybody was like, oh yeah, they're here. It's like, okay.
Did it feel like the feeling with everyone was almost like a dark thing to them, like something malevolent or?
Not malevolent.
They just more felt a sadness. Yeah.
Sad. Yeah. Like I say, now that one room, which is where the little thing ran off towards that ante room that I had to get into my room, that was creepy, but the rest of the house was fine. It just there was a sadness, and then there was a girlfriend I was dating who was kind of witchy and weird, go figure, and she said could feel things and said it was a small child, and then there was a teenage girl as well, and there was more than one presence, you know what I mean, and that's other people's take. I just felt creeped out and then saw little demons running around the room.
Very cool. That's not something we usually hear either, where it's usually like something in that form. Everyone they see some sort of like specter or a ghostly human form or something in a distorted human form. Yeah, but to see something like that is something. It's a little mind blowing. Anyone else in that home ever come across like something similar to that, or was it just other things?
Not that I remember. Like I said, that someone saw a little girl, someone saw a teenage girl, but on the stairs, and like I say, and there was the piano that the piano players. I think there were two of them, and they were just like, Jesus Christ, man. Everything I play is sad, so it's not like you could sit down and do some Jerry Lee Lewis or something, what I mean? It was just like everything was dirge-like and miserable, and they weren't miserable people, so it's not like they were feeding off their inner guts or something,
Was the houses in like an old area?
Oh yeah, it was an old house. Yeah, I mean it was old by American standards. So it was late 19th century. It's now it's a very nice neighborhood. It was a bit run down then. You know what I mean? It's been gentrified since then.
It could have been that the original foundation was even older, though. That there've been even older buildings or houses there before the brownstone came up.
Possibly, but then the way American cities are built, they sort of start from the center and build out. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
So how long did you stay in that place before you left?
I did stay there, yeah, because you know what it's like when you're 20. It's like you're just. I certainly wouldn't. I don't think I'd do that now. I'd be gone. But it was just like and then I wound up moved to a couple of other places, and then I wound up moving to this place in Arlington, and that was weird. It wasn't anything creepy in the sense that, and this is just your standard American suburban post-war, house. There was nothing exceptional about it, except for the fact that every night, and I noticed it when I started working nights. You know what I mean? So I'd work at the old 930 club or something, and I'd come home, and of course, you don't sleep immediately. You sort of sit up and watch. It used to be HBO was a new thing back then. You know what I mean? So it was on 24 hours a day. That's novel. And and you'd sit there, and every night at 4:30, there would be footsteps walking across the living room. And there's like the girl I was living with, she's asleep. The other roommate is who is actually Steve, who's in the Descendants now. He would be asleep in the basement, and I'd sort of tiptoe in, put the TV on real quietly, and sort of, have a nightcap to relax, and just sitting there.
Would you wait for it to happen?
Huh?
I said, would you wait for the footsteps to happen?
No, you'd be sitting there, and all of a sudden you'd hear somebody walking through the room, and you'd be like, oh, 4:30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad feeling, but it was specifically footsteps. It wasn't the house settling. You know what I mean? It was specifically footsteps. And the girl who I was living with, it was her house. She knew about it, and she told me about it because normally you just go to, if you went to bed, you wouldn't notice it. It was only because I was up that late, and I was like, oh, there it is. And sure enough, every single night there would be footsteps across the entire living room floor. So again, it's not like it was dump dump or dump dump dump. It was dump 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 dump. Across. Like
would
somebody,
it be like one pass through and then that would be it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one pass through and that was it. And a good 12, 13, 14 steps. You know what I mean? And you would look at, you could follow it with your eyes. You could sit there in your chair and you could follow it. You know what I mean? With the sound.
Just for the record then, which makes this story interesting. I mean, if you live in a building or in a house that has a lot of details, floor, ceilings, etc., that's made out of wood. Wood is a living material, so they will make a roof or the floor will make sounds, but that's a completely different type of sound.
Yes, I mean I'm a carpenter, so I know what settling noises sound like. And this is not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm in a house, and I got a story about that. In a minute. If I'm in a house and I hear noises, I'm fine with that because I know what they are. It's a house settling, and houses make noises all the time, and I've been working in houses by myself, and I know the difference. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's just that, and that's nothing. You know what I mean?
No, these sounds like footsteps with a bit of intensity.
Yeah, like somebody walking by, and they were the same volume as when somebody and it wasn't a big house, you know what I mean? So they were walking by maybe 5 or 6 feet from you, you know what I mean? And following the path of the house. So they were coming sort of like, so they'd start behind, the bedrooms were behind me, and they sort of like walk. So from a bedroom, past me, and then turning to go into the dining room, you know what I mean? Which was like a little alcove. It's not a big house. So as if you would hear the same volume like during the day when somebody walked by you.
Right.
Exactly the same, except there was absolutely nobody there. And it was every single night.
It must have been weird for you because first you live downstairs in the first house.
Say.
And where the thing happens with like that appearance, like the creature, you move into the next place, and it's like it's following you. Like
well,
here's another haunted house.
There's actually two or three houses before that, so it's not quite following me. But there were a couple of houses that were, but between these two that were just that had nothing in them.
So, hold on a second. You said you had a work-related story.
Yeah, there's a couple of those. Like being a carpenter, I've been in houses and gotten really bad feelings in them.
Mm-hmm.
And like there was one, I was working on a row house in down in Canton, which is a neighborhood that's been gentrified here. And I was working in the basement, and I just got the worst feeling. This place sucks. And there were some other trades working in there as well. So the guy I didn't know, Mexican guy, and I was like, I gotta go. So I'm standing outside, and I smoke cigarettes at the time. So I'm smoking a cigarette, and it's the middle of the day, and then this guy came out, and he was like, I don't want to be in that house. I don't like that basement. I didn't know this guy. We had not talked. You know what I mean? And he said exactly the same thing. And I called my boss. You know, I was like, I'm not going down there again. It's
Really?
just not happening. Yeah. So that was that one.
Uh-huh.
And I had another one. There was another. I was working on a house. It's out Belfast Road, which is out in the county. And it was a really old house, like 1840s. And one of those like really secluded down a long driveway. And again, that was another one with a really bad feeling in it. And the same thing with the footsteps. I'm working in the house downstairs. I had been upstairs. There's nobody in this house. There's nobody in this house. There's no way for anybody to get in the house because there's nothing around it. You know what I mean? I mean, you're down a quarter-mile driveway. It's you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, footsteps walk across the ceiling, and there's nobody in that house. I was just upstairs. There's nobody in the house. I know this. And that was another one. And I told my boss at the time, and he was like, "Oh, you heard that too? Because I heard it the other day." Same.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it was just, and again, creepy feeling. And I used to, I'm used to being in empty houses. I used to actually break into houses for the bank, and do reports, on the condition of the house, like foreclosed houses and stuff years ago. So I'm used to being in empty houses. So it's not an empty house that's creepy. It's a creepy house that I'm in. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So
exactly.
It's not. I can walk into, and again, I can walk into an empty house, and I'm like, okay, this is fine. And then I can walk into a house, and it's fine.
It's a very cliche thing to say, but it's interesting with you then coming from a carpenter background. Is houses absolutely do have a form of souls.
Yes.
And I mean, there can also be houses where there's been some sad stuff going on there, death, social problems, etc. But the house still feels nice. But when you walk into a house and you just feel like this place is just bad, that's a very special feeling, and it's a very consuming feeling too. I must say.
I've got that story for you too. But first, no, because one of the reasons the house that I live in with my wife that we got, one of the reasons we got it was because the feeling was so nice. Mm-hmm. It's a really peaceful feeling in the house, and everybody comes over is like, this house is great. I mean, it's not a big house, it's nothing fancy, but it's just got a really nice, calm feeling. You want to be in this house. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm okay now, right. And we both felt it, and we're like, this is the house.
That's a rare thing too.
Yeah,
to be so comfortable in a place like that.
Right. But the other feeling, this happened actually while we were house hunting. This is actually 2 years ago. We were driving around looking at houses, and there was this one. It's actually right around the corner from from this house. It's a few blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's weird because the neighborhood we live in, I mean, Baltimore's almost all row houses and we're part of the row house area. But in this one area, that Waverly, they had detached houses, like, made out of wood as opposed to made out of stone, like farmhouse type things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This was one of those. And I love wooden houses. And it had, so I was like, oh, let's stop here. And it looked a little rundown, but let's check this one out. So, and it had this driveway, and it turned out the property was like really, you wouldn't know it from looking at the street, but it went back. And, I mean, it's really big, in the middle of the city. It's on a narrow little street. But it's in the middle of the city. And I was walking back, and there's trees, and it's all overgrown, and I saw there were a bunch of garages in the back. So my first instinct was, jackpot, band practicing rooms, we'll rent, you can rent the garage, you know what I mean, to my either my car friends or my band friends, so they can have somewhere to practice, you know what I mean? Jackpot. And there was even a car out. There was an old VW bus out the back. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, let me go in this house. And so the realtor and my wife are at the front. And so I'm wandering around the back. So I'm like, let me go in the house. So I go in the house. And downstairs, it's pretty run down. But like I say, I'm a carpenter, so I know how to fix this stuff. So I'm like, assessing like how much work I'm going to have to do, and I can do this. It's starting to add up that maybe this isn't the place, But I'm still like, okay, but I'm here, so I'm going to look. And somebody's been working on it because there's drapes and the things drop cloths lying around and stuff. But it's going to take some work. But it's this huge property. And then I decided to go upstairs. So I did. And there was it was weird because there was a screen door at the top of the stairs.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. And I opened the screen door and I stepped across that threshold, and whatever was in that house was one of the most horrific and frightening things that I have ever experienced in my life.
Wow.
I was absolutely, just terrified. And it felt like the house was like there was this long hallway. And it just, do not go down that hallway. And as I remember it, and my hair, the hair on my arms is actually standing up right now. So I'm telling you.
So is mine right now.
It looked like the hallway looked like it was breathing. That's the way I remember it. You know what I mean? Like it was like compressing and going, and just do not go down this hallway. Get the fuck out of this house right now. And I turned around and I ran down the stairs and I ran out of the house, and I was like, Ashley and the realtor, Donna, were sitting there smoking cigarettes, and they're like, we got to go right now. And they're like, why do you think we didn't go in the house? We didn't like the feeling, but off you went round the back, So we piled in the car, went home, and an hour later, I was still, my heart was going, the hairs on my arms were it was horrific. It was the scare, like Gollum on my lampshade was nothing compared to the evil that I felt in that house. It was frightening beyond words.
It's amazing how that sixth sense kicks in, and it sounds like you have it working in a lot of places. That
I will always listen to it. It's like but strangely enough, they have knocked that house down.
It's gone now.
It's gone. The whole lot and I wouldn't walk by it, because it's like I walk my dogs in the morning, but I always turn them like the street before, because we are not going past that house. We are not going anywhere near that house. But I'll drive past it on the way home. You know what I mean? And sometimes, they bulldozed it. I'll send you a picture. I took a picture of the lot. I don't have a picture.
Great.
I don't have a picture of the house, but I have a picture of the lot, and it's just nothing there. They knocked down.
Still an empty lot to this day.
Yeah, and this they did that. When did they? I think last year. You know what I mean? So whoever bought it,
which is crazy to me because you said looked like someone was working inside of there when you went to.
Right. Now maybe they foreclosed, or they just or they just said, you know what, fuck this.
This place got to go.
Or maybe they went upstairs and
Yeah.
But it was that was the most terrifying thing I've ever felt in paranormal weirdo stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, just get out of here now.
Did you ever do any? Go ahead, Foss.
Yeah, I would like to add a layer to this because it's come up on the show before, and often when you and I speak, Pete, is that feeling that you had, that feeling of unrest or danger, even going up the stairs and looking down that almost like a black hole. I mean, if you're a guy who's lived a life playing music and playing a form of music where like you sense danger a lot. I mean, there's plenty of people out there who's never like been exposed to dangerous situations, so they don't know what that feeling is like. So they can take it as, I don't know, whatever. Oh, this feeling is new to me. Mm-hmm. If you've lived a life where you've been in actually dangerous situations, and then you're in a house that's completely empty, and you feel the exact same thing, like almost the exact same feeling as you would feel when someone's going to try to kill you, that adds a whole different perspective to it. In my book, it makes the story so much better and stronger.
I'll be completely honest with you. I have had people try to kill me, and this was worse. Because the other one was violence, and you're in a moment, and you're fighting. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean. So your adrenaline is going outward, whereas this was going inward. You know what I mean? The adrenaline, it was all in me. It was just terror.
Yep.
And you know, it was just different. It was really, really frightening. And I'll be really happy if I never feel that way again.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what the history of that home was.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of interested in looking it up, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe I'll just leave it.
Just leave it alone.
just don't, because it was so intense and so pure. And again, this is, it's not like I'm running around telling this story. You're the first. I can't believe I'm telling it on the bloody radio. You know what I mean? It's like, fortunately, you're a sympathetic, audience, and but it was very definitely very real and very, very frightening.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, I could totally picture it myself. I'm looking down that corridor now myself.
Yeah, there were rooms. Like, there's rooms off either side, and I think it was a bathroom down at the end, and it just was like, and I was just like, give me that, just go now.
Wow.
It was, again, the hairs are up again. I'm scaring myself. I hope I'll sleep.
Yeah, at least once every episode, I get that when someone's telling a story, and as you started speaking about when you got to the top of the steps, right before you said the hairs on your arms were up, my whole arm was just covered in goosebumps. I was just staring at it.
It was.
That's when we know we got something good going on.
Yeah. Actually, the house next door is still up, so I can give you an idea of what it looked like because it was similar. Of course, that one the porch is off, but it's you get it. I mean, it's just like your standard American like farmhouse looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
Had a porch.
Yeah, it would be cool if you could send us a photo over just of the lot or maybe the house next to it.
Yeah, I know. I'll send you both. I'll take a picture of the lot. Well, no, the lot I have. I'll take a picture of the house next door so you can at least get some idea.
Mm-hmm.
Of what it looked like, I mean, it was.
I would love to actually just kind of punch in an address on that home and do some sort of search on it and see what type of history it had to it too.
Let me figure out what it is, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, could have had some really dark things happening there. Who knows?
Oh yeah, I'll go. Yeah, something happened there.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I'll check it out in the daytime.
Soon as you said, well, we entered the building, it looked like someone had started working on it and then left. I already knew, okay, this is going to be bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there were a couple ladders lying around, and like I say, drop claws and some sawhorses. And it was like, okay.
I'm not sure if you had any more stories to share with us.
No, that's really it there.
Yeah, and that was like perfect for the show. And thanks so much for sharing that with us, Sab. It was
my pleasure.
very
Absolutely
cool, man. What we're gonna do is thank you for having you on the show with us tonight. And we're really happy that you took the time out, just to talk with us and share some of these cool stories with us. Anything else you wanted to add, Klaus?
No, just thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. It was interesting talking about that stuff.
Yeah, we had to get it out of you somehow. So
yeah, just call up and ask. That'll work. Yeah. But yeah. So.
Yeah, thank you so. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, sorry.
I'm still thinking about the. I'm still thinking about the house.
Yeah, so am I actually.
Yeah.
It's my bedtime as well. Oh.
Absolutely fantastic stories, and we had like this story. This episode had like a red thread to it, where everything took place in houses. Mm-hmm. Whereas whenever we have people on that tell multiple stories, it's usually like all over the place.
Yeah.
But this was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And you'll send me the link, of course, and I'll put it on my podcast page. And
absolutely. Where can people check out the podcast, Sab?
The easiest way we have a Facebook page that if you just type in Dork Time Radio, because I'm actually where the whole thing started through my friend has a hip hop radio station, and he's the guy that got me into it. He's like, I want you to do a radio show, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And he's like, okay, so we're a punk rock history program on our hip hop station.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Very cool.
Yeah, VVCradio.com. You can go to their website and do the drop down, on their show, on their programs, shows. We're on there. But if you just want our stuff, go to the Facebook Dork Time Radio, and all the episodes are archived, on the page. So they're you can get them all there.
Great. Yeah, we'll definitely get your podcast posted up on all our pages and social media. Once we're done with editing this and it's finishing towards completion, we'll definitely send it over to you for links that you can post up as well. Each episode is also illustrated by one of our friends. So we'll take one of your stories, maybe we'll talk, maybe figure out what you would like to do, and it'll be illustrated on our website as well. Cool. If you go on our page, on our actual website, you'll see each podcast with an illustration to go along with it, which they come out really awesome. My friend Jeff Lambert that works at Brass City Tattoo does all of them, and he's been doing a really, really great job.
Fantastic.
With the artwork. But we'll be in touch. And thanks so much again, Sab, for talking with us. And this is Stockbury Dark signing off.
By the words of Iron Cross, live for now.
Or run for now.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. We'll talk soon.
All right, mate. Thank you so much.
You got it, man. I'll be in touch.
All right, cheers.
Thank you.
Take care.